Good evening, everyone, and welcome. Tonight, we're going to be talking about the nervous system and resilience, and specifically the idea of restoring capacity in our bodies in an overstimulated world. When people hear the phrase nervous system, they often think about stress, anxiety, or emotions. And while those are certainly part of the conversation, the nervous system's influence extends much further. It affects sleep, energy production, digestion, recovery, immune function, focus, adaptability, and how well we respond to the demands of everyday life. Now, many of the symptoms people struggle with today, like fatigue, brain fog, poor sleep, reduced stress tolerance, feeling wired but tired, or simply feeling like life takes more energy than it used to, are often discussed as separate issues. What we'll explore tonight is the possibility that these experiences may share something in common. For most of human history, periods of demand were followed by periods of recovery. The body would respond to a challenge and adapt, and then return to a more balanced state. Modern life has changed that pattern considerably. Many of us now live in an environment of continuous stimulation, continuous information, and continuous demands on our attention. The goal of tonight's discussion is not to criticize technology or suggest that stress can be completely avoided. Instead, I want to explore how constant stimulation may influence recovery and how recovery influences capacity, and why capacity may be one of the most important concepts for understanding resilience. So as we move through the discussion, I'd like you to keep a simple question in mind. How much stimulation am I processing every day? And how much opportunity am I giving my nervous system to recover? So let's begin by looking at the role the nervous system plays in resilience and adaptation. When people hear the term nervous system, they often think about stress or anxiety, but in reality, the nervous system is involved in virtually everything the body does. It influences sleep and digestion, energy production, immune function, emotions, and how well we adapt to life's challenges. Many people assume they have a problem with energy, motivation, aging, hormones, or resilience itself. And sometimes what they're actually experiencing is a nervous system that has been carrying more demand than it has the opportunity to recover from. Tonight we'll look at how the nervous system influences resilience and why some people seem able to handle life's demands while others feel depleted by them. Now, in this series, what I have provided are some science slides that go right after the main slide where I'm speaking. This is for your own study on your own time. I wanted you to have this information. When the nervous system perceives safety and adequate resources, the body can devote energy toward repair, recovery, growth, digestion, and long-term maintenance. When the nervous system perceives ongoing demand, uncertainty, or insufficient resources, more energy may be directed toward immediate adaptation and short-term survival needs. This doesn't mean something is wrong with the body. It means the body is responding to the conditions it believes it's operating within. Understanding resilience begins with understanding this fundamental principle. The nervous system helps determine how the body allocates its resources, and those decisions influence how we feel, how we function, how we recover and adapt over time. Now that we've established how much influence the nervous system has throughout the body, we can begin talking about resilience. Resilience is often misunderstood as toughness, willpower, or the ability to push through difficult situations. But from a physiological perspective, resilience means something different. Resilience is the ability to respond to a challenge and then recover from it. Every day, the nervous system is receiving information from both inside and outside the body. It senses what's happening and interprets that information. Then it has to coordinate a response and adjust as conditions change. And when this process is working well, the body can adapt to stressors and recover from them and return to balance. The ability to move between challenge and recovery is one of the defining characteristics of resilience. Should energy be directed toward digestion, repair, immune function, those decisions are influenced by the information the nervous system receives and how capable it believes the body is of handling the current demands. A resilient nervous system is flexible. It can increase activation when needed and reduce activation when the challenge has passed. A less resilient nervous system may remain activated longer than necessary or struggle to fully recover after repeated demands. And over time, resilience is not determined simply by the amount of stress a person experiences. It's heavily influenced by whether the nervous system has enough opportunity to recover between those demands. And that brings us to an important question. Is the body being given enough opportunity to recover from what it's being asked to adapt to? That question becomes increasingly important in the modern world, where stimulation, information, and demands are often continuous. And this is where the concepts of capacity, recovery, and resilience begin to intersect. The nervous system was designed to help us adapt to changing conditions. Throughout human history, periods of demand were often followed by periods of recovery. A challenge would occur, the body would respond, and then the nervous system would have an opportunity to return to a more balanced state. This cycle of challenge and recovery is how resilience is built. The problem is that many people today experience demands that are frequent, persistent, and sometimes constant. The nervous system responds to many different forms of demand. It simply responds to the information it receives. That information may come from poor sleep, financial stress, chronic pain, illness, blood sugar instability, excessive screen time, environmental exposures. Each demand may seem small on its own, but when they accumulate without sufficient recovery, the nervous system can remain in a state of ongoing activation. And over time, this can reduce flexibility and adaptive capacity. The issue is not that stress exists. Stress is a normal part of life. The question is whether recovery is keeping pace with demand. When recovery consistently falls behind demand, resilience can begin to decline. And this is where the concept of capacity becomes important. The more capacity the nervous system has available, the better it can respond, recover, and adapt to life's challenges. And that leads us to the next question. What happens when demand begins to exceed capacity? When demand begins to exceed capacity, the body starts making adjustments. Recovery may take longer than it once did. Small stressors may feel larger than they used to. Things that were previously manageable can begin requiring more effort. And at first, these changes can be subtle. A person may notice they're more tired at the end of the day, or less resilient to stress, or slower to recover from any type of physical, emotional, or environmental challenges. And over time, symptoms may become more noticeable. Sleep may become less restorative, and energy may become less consistent. Digestion, mood, concentration, and other functions may begin to feel less stable. And people often assume these changes mean the body is failing, but in many cases, the body is actually adapting to the resources that are available to it. Now, when capacity becomes limited, the body often becomes more selective about where energy and resources are allocated. More immediate needs may be prioritized, while functions related to repair, recovery, and long-term maintenance receive less support. This is one reason two people can experience the same challenge and respond very differently. The difference is often not the challenge itself. The difference is the amount of capacity available to respond to that challenge. Understanding symptoms through the lens of capacity can be helpful because symptoms often tell us less about what's broken and more about how much demand the body is currently trying to manage. And that brings us to the next question. If resilience depends on capacity, how do we begin rebuilding capacity in the first place? Throughout this discussion, we've talked about the nervous system, resilience, recovery, and capacity. And we've seen that resilience is not simply about tolerating more stress. It's about maintaining the ability to respond, recover, and adapt. The good news is that capacity is not fixed. The nervous system is adaptable throughout life, and resilience can often be improved by creating the conditions that support recovery. Building resilience does not usually begin with doing more. It often begins with improving the body's ability to recover. This may include improving sleep quality, stabilizing blood sugar, nutrition, movement, removing any unnecessary stressors or demands, and creating opportunities for recovery throughout the day. These interventions may seem simple, but they actually directly influence the resources available to the nervous system and the body as a whole. When capacity grows, resilience grows. And when resilience grows, the body becomes better able to tolerate, recover from, and adapt to life's challenges. The goal is not to eliminate every challenge from life. The goal is to increase capacity so that those challenges require less of our available resources. And that leads us to the final idea I'd like to leave you with tonight. Earlier tonight, we asked an important question. If resilience depends on capacity, how do we begin rebuilding capacity in the first place? And the answer is that we start by understanding what is contributing to demand, what's limiting recovery, and what may be reducing the body's ability to adapt. For some people, that may involve improving sleep, nutrition, movement, and recovery habits. For others, it may involve identifying deeper factors that are affecting resilience, such as inflammation, blood sugar instability, digestive dysfunction, environmental exposures, or other ongoing stressors. The goal is not to chase every symptom individually, however. The goal is to better understand the patterns influencing capacity and resilience. So if you'd like to continue exploring those patterns, the resources on this slide can help you take next steps. Thank you for spending your time with me this evening. I hope this discussion has given you a different way to think about symptoms, stress, recovery, and resilience.